Hi there. Say hi, Danny. We are gonna take a break from reading ELA right now, and we're gonna get into some writing portions of ELA, and we're gonna talk about narrative writing. So we're gonna get into what narrative writing looks like and how to sort of plan out and start doing some writing. So let's get started. Here we go. So first and foremost, narrative writing is just telling a story. You either tell a story experience, you tell an event, or you tell a sequence of events. So that's what a narrative is. And typically when we see a narrative, we see it kind of in this funny looking mountain shape. So when we're looking at a narrative, what we're looking at is a beginning, middle, and end. This is kind of the very basic line of what a narrative is in order to start writing. So we have the first part, which is the beginning. Before we get into the beginning, we get into this funny little thing right here, which looks like a hook, and that is what it's called. This is called a hook. The hook does what it normally does in an essay, is it grabs the reader's attention. So I'm going to use an example of a book that we've been reading right now. Is we have I Survived the Eruption of Mount St. Helens. So before the author even gets into the actual story part, what he does is he hooks the reader. He hooks the reader by starting out in chapter 1, describing the actual event of Mount St. Helens erupting. So that's what this author does first to hook the reader. Kind of describes what it felt like using those 5 senses that we talked about in the first lesson. Where we talked about the sensory details. He described what it felt like to have the volcano erupt. So this is actually going to be a really good tool to help us with our narrative writing. So after he hooked the reader, what you do is you do the beginning. So what the beginning does is it introduces characters, setting, and sets up the problem. So the characters are Jess and her 2 friends. The setting is in Washington State, and I kind of went through what Washington looks like, kind of a little map of it. And then kind of getting into the problem, we know the problem based off the hook, the mountain is going to erupt. All right, so after we get into the beginning of the story, then we get into what is called the middle, which is where you add details to the problem. So in here, we know the mountain is gonna erupt. So what the author does is kind of leads up. You can see it kind of leads up to when the mountain erupts. That's what the author does. Kind of adding details, adding a story, making us really care for these characters as we're leading into the story. And then finally you get to the ending, and the ending wraps up the story and usually finds a solution. So we haven't actually gotten to the end of the story with this. We haven't gotten to the end of I Survived yet, but what the ending is going to look like is what happens after erupt. So it kind of falls down and offers a solution. So hopefully our characters survive in the ending. So that's kind of a general, really broad, meaning really big idea of what narrative is. All you're going to be doing is telling a story. You need to hook the reader, introduce character, setting, and plot, add details, and then end your story with kind of a solution, okay? Okay, so we're actually going to apply this right now. If you open up your homeschool work packet, go to the severe weather page, and it says, imagine that you are preparing for a severe weather event. Conduct research to define how you will prepare and what you will experience when the weather arrives. Write a fictional first-hand account of the storm. So for write a blank about blank, what you're going to do is you're going to write a narrative. You're going to write a narrative about a severe weather event. That's all you're going to write there. Go ahead and write a narrative about a severe weather event. So in order to kind of walk you through this process, we're going to go through all the steps together. So step 1 is choose a severe event. So you have cyclone, heat wave, blizzard, thunderstorm, tornado, tropical cyclone, windstorm, and hurricane. So go ahead and check one of those right now. If you've already done all this, that's okay. This will kind of help you walk you through it. All right, so before you can get into your narrative writing, what you need to do is know more about your severe events. You have to do research about it. So it says step 2, conduct research questions. What are 3 questions you can ask to guide your research about your extreme weather? Remember, prepare and experience. Write 3 questions below. So remember, in our prompt, what they want us to do is how you would prepare for the severe weather event and what you would experience during the severe weather event. So go ahead and write 3 questions that you can ask to guide your research. So I'm going to use, again, I survived as kind of an example. We're talking about the eruption of Mount St. Helens. So I would maybe ask, what happened when Mount St. Helens erupted? How do you prepare for Mount St. Helens to erupt? And what happened after Mount St. Helens erupted? So those are kind of 3 guiding questions that I can be writing right here. Now, I would like you to turn the page. We're going to do step 3. Step 3 says research about extreme weather from 2 sources. Sources should include books on Epic Online, which is Google, books at home, or 1 YouTube video. So in this table right here, we have 2 different sources that you had to research and read and learn about your severe weather. So you had to do source number 1, source number 2, write the title of the articles or the video that you watched, type of source, so was it a book, was it online, was it a video, was it a book at home, and then type notes. I recommend collecting as much information as you can about your severe weather. I usually have with my students say at least 5 things that they learned from each source. So remember, you're researching about your severe weather first, and that is where you write all the notes right here. Okay? Now, before you even get into narrative writing, the most important part that you can do is step 4, which is plan and brainstorm your story. So on this page right here, I have ways to plan and prepare, and it kind of takes this narrative writing little picture and puts it kind of on your paper. So you need to come up with some characters, you need to come up with a setting, and you need to come up with a plot. Your plot has to do with your prompt where you have a severe weather coming that you need to prepare and experience. So go ahead and start writing your characters, setting, and plot. Now, like I said before, at the bottom of this graphic organizer is the beginning, middle, and end. So what you should be doing for this part is write down some things that can happen in the beginning, some things that can happen in the middle, and some things that can happen in the end. And look at kind of this chart. What do you need to do in the beginning? You need to introduce characters, setting, and plot. Middle, details of the plot. And finally, you need to have a solution. So go ahead and start filling that out now. Great work. You did your planning part, which is the most important. The planning is actually all the thinking that goes into it. Now you're ready to actually write your narrative. So I have broken it up with lines of beginning, middle, and end. So go ahead and write your essay. Don't forget to hook the reader, introduce character, setting, and plot, add details, and then offer a solution to your severe weather event. And then on the back, I have a graphic feature, a picture of the severe weather. So this is a part where you can look online and draw a really cool picture of your severe weather event. All right, so I really hope that kind of helped you understand what narrative writing is and how to walk you through kind of the process of writing a narrative. Say goodbye, Danny. Goodbye, Danny. All right. Thank you so much for clicking on my YouTube video. I really hope this helps you out, and go write your narrative. Bye. Thank you.